I'm a creative, okay? There's like a creative muse that flows through me. So for me, the creative process is something that if I try to plan it, it doesn't work as well.
Welcome to the Tip the Scales podcast, where we discuss running and growing your law firm. I'm your host, Maria Monroy, president and co-founder of LawRank. If my voice sounds different, it's because it is. I've been at a conference recording podcasts. I had some speaking engagements, and we've been in really loud environments where we have to scream to be heard. I also wanted to add that I'm going to be doing a solo episode where I focus on the local component of SEO. Just talking about Google My Business. It's now called Google Business Profile. If you guys have any questions regarding local SEO, please either shoot me a DM on Instagram, Maria LawRank, or at tipthescales.podcast, or leave a comment on our YouTube channel so that I can answer your questions during this episode that I'm going to do for you guys, because I get a ton of questions asked all the time. Today, I am joined by Ryan McKeen. I actually had never met Ryan, and it's rare when I have someone on the podcast that I've never actually met in person before, but I follow Ryan on LinkedIn, and I just love his posts, and his posts get so much engagement. So I asked him if he would do me the honor and join me on the podcast. We talked a lot about LinkedIn, growing a law firm, being a trial firm. I really hope that you guys enjoy this episode. Ryan McKeen.
Hey, Maria.
Hi.
Hey, I'm playing the part of Jen Gore today.
Yes, you are.
Very poorly. Nobody has ever confused me with Jen Gore.
And nobody will.
That's
Sorry.
right. That's
Not
right.
in this life, at least.
Not at all.
No. So we were just shit talking Dan Ambrose.
Yes, we were.
Yeah, that's like my favorite person to shit talk.
He is a character. Like, I know a lot of people, and I know one Dan Ambrose.
Yep. Yeah, nobody will confuse him.
Nobody.
No. It's really funny watching him interact, and I use the word interact very carefully. It's more like not interact with my kids. So my kids were here yesterday, and Dan just like stares at them like he doesn't know what to do.
Really?
Yeah, it's really, I thought he would get along better with kids.
That's what I'm taking from you. I would anticipate like Dan is high energy, could be like on level with kids.
Not at all. He doesn't know what to say. That he's like scared of them or something.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's like me with dogs.
Another layer to the Dan Ambrose mystery.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot. We could do a whole podcast on like Dan. So let's skip that. The reason I asked you to come on this podcast is because I like your LinkedIn posts.
Well, thank you, Maria. I like your podcast.
Thank you. Talk to me about your LinkedIn posts.
LinkedIn comes naturally to me. Like, I started really like my legal career because my firm had a terrible website. So, see, not something done by LawRank, okay?
Right.
Terrible website.
Not.
I'll give you the domain. You can put it in the show notes. Okay, terrible. And so, but it was like 2007. I was like, people are starting to find lawyers online. And I asked them, like, can I have a blog? And they're like, well, how much does that cost? I'm like, well, like $10 for a domain and like $70 for hosting. Like, okay. So I started writing a blog, and like I built, this was a time in like 2007, 8, 9, 10, where there was like Google Reader, and like people would like read my blog, and I started getting over 1 million views a year. Like,
oh, wow.
Inbound links from Yale, like New York Times, like.
What did you write about?
See, the thing is, I just wrote about whatever interested me. Like, it was just a curiosity thing. Like, I'd
Was it legal specific?
Yeah, all law. It's a Connecticut law blog. It still exists for.
Does it still get traffic or not? Not really.
It still gets traffic. Yeah, no, because I got thousands of views. It's an aged domain. All those things that the SEO is like, right? In inbound links from places like Yale and UConn and all sorts of places. And it was just like, but it's just like whatever interested me. So if there's an interesting case, I go to court, I see something. Like the threshold was, if it was interesting to me, maybe it's interesting to somebody else.
But what if it hadn't been? Like, what if like you're like really boring things?
I probably do. But the good thing, Maria.
Clearly not.
The good thing, Maria,
Clearly
is
it worked.
there are 8 billion people on the planet.
There are
8 billion. And like most of them have like broadband access or 5G or whatever,
now they
right?
Do, yeah.
And so if like 1/1,000,000th of like 1%, like I didn't major in math, like you got an audience, right?
No, I get it. But I think a lot of people think the other way. Now, of course, now it's as it relates to social, right? Like, who's going to like my content? Who's going to relate? Like, people are very scared to go and post.
Can I swear on this?
Absolutely. Are you fucking kidding me?
Because like fucks I give. Like fucks I give. Like if you're playing to an audience, like fuck that. Like I try to write about what interests me in my voice, that's mine. And it's sort of almost like a diary, so to speak. And if you're on my journey, you're on it. You're not on my journey, you're not on it.
It's funny that you asked me if you can cuss. I had Jefferson Fisher on the podcast, and we have it on YouTube, and I guess people Google him so people watch it. So I had someone message me the other day that not only was it unnecessary to cuss, that they watched the episode with Jefferson, and that not only was it unnecessary for me to cuss, but unprofessional.
Really?
Yeah. His trolls are like coming after me.
You know, that's like imagine being, I guess, so relevant that people actually care about that.
I bet they care about him and they think because he doesn't, I've never seen him cuss on like Instagram and his socials. So I think they felt like maybe it was like off brand for him. And like, I'm like the bad person.
Interesting. Blame the woman. I mean, it's just terrible,
Jesus, right? No, I know.
Like, there you go out there. If you're out there on YouTube hating, it's not Maria, it's me, okay?
But who has the time? No, they went and messaged me on Instagram.
Don't.
They didn't even comment on YouTube. They went to my Instagram and they like had to let me know.
Okay, don't DM Maria for me saying fuck.
Yeah.
And also, if you do, fuck you. How's that?
I like that.
You like that?
I do. I like that. Okay, so you start this blog, people read it, and then how does that translate to LinkedIn?
Well, it just is because, like, look, like the blog thing, like there's like before blogs were like SEO things, like there was a communities of bloggers and people who would just write about different things, right? And that kind of like dies with Google Reader. When Google kills Google Reader, that dies. And essentially, like the audience the platform shifts from WordPress to LinkedIn. And so people are tuning into LinkedIn to get like professional information. Like that's what it is, right? There's so much stuff that's paywalled. There's so much stuff that's like censored, overprocessed, crap content that people start tuning into LinkedIn. And it's like, hey, I'm just going to share my thoughts there.
Are your thoughts for other lawyers or are your thoughts for the average person?
Most of my thoughts are like legal related, but it's like a lot of stuff I write about is like, I don't write about like 3 things to do after a car accident.
No.
Nobody's reading that, right?
Nobody gives a shit.
But I try to write about like my journey. Like I try to write about business. I try to write about leadership. Try to write about like healthy law firms, compassion, shit like that.
I think that resonates a lot with other law firm owners, right? Now, do you plan your content in advance?
No.
Really?
I'm a creative, okay? So it's like there's like a creative muse that flows through me. Like I love like Prince, right? But I cannot sing. Like that is like, but like the music flowed through the man, right? And so for me, like I can't sing a note, can't play guitar, can't hit a drum on beat. But for me, it's just like the creative process is something that like if I try to plan it, like it doesn't work as well. Like I wake up usually and I have something on my mind and I'm just like, I write it. I usually write the posts in like 3-4 minutes and off it goes.
And how's your grammar?
Sometimes terrible.
Really?
My big thing is it doesn't matter. Like I've written posts that are perfectly written, but what people are connecting with is the idea and the voice and you.
How often do you post?
I usually post like once a day.
And do you post on other platforms or is it just LinkedIn?
Primarily LinkedIn, because I get like last year I had 3 million views. Like on my posts, like that's a lot of people.
That's crazy
for LinkedIn. Like, look, this face is not selling Instagram. Okay, we can be real, but that does sell. It does work on LinkedIn, and more recently, like I've started to write on Facebook, because Facebook has allowed for like content creator profiles.
Okay, I didn't know that. Is it a different type of profile?
No, it's my personal profile.
But you're just posting. So you're going back in time, basically. Because remember when people would just post, like, nope, not really pictures. It was like their thoughts, like what they were doing. Do you remember that?
Yeah, no, it's not just pictures, but it's like thoughts on like life. And like I write about things that like hit like emotionally. Like it was just, okay, here's one. Like I wrote a post all about how like I got this record when I was 14, right? And it and it hit, and I was like, I had my parents' record player, and I listened to it, and then I put it away when the CD came out, and I listened to it when I was 44. I'm 43, but I'll be 44 in a few weeks. And how like it tapped into something deeper. And so starting to write not about like, hey, I had a cool time with Maria Monroy today, spoke at NTL, or here are my kids, but sort of just like what I'd say like are almost like People magazine posts, right?
I still expect a post about how much fun you had with me.
Maria, I will make that post, okay?
Cool.
I will make that post.
Just making sure.
My sort of belief in all this, right, is you have so much AI content being generated, and it's only we're at the day one of all this stuff, right? And so I think like there's an authenticity signal, like in the like Google search results, like it's now showing like how many followers you have on LinkedIn, how many followers you have on Twitter in the SERP, right? And so I think that, you know, building audience on these platforms, like I think it's good because you're connecting with people. Like I post this stuff. I started doing it over Christmas, and it led to 4 cases of me posting about like winter and shit.
That's what I wanted to ask you. Like, are you monetizing it in some way?
The only way that I monetize it is by essentially people reading it, they like it, and then their friend gets hurt in a car accident and they call me.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's amazing.
That's it.
Some people think that Instagram, LinkedIn, social media doesn't work, which is, I think people are blown away by the fact that it works. And I think people are starting to like admit, okay, fine. Like I could see how it's working. But for a long time, I think lawyers were really hesitant to believe that it did anything.
Look, I'm the first person in my family to go to college, you know, let alone graduate law school. Like I wouldn't be able to be here and have the success I've had and the career that I've had and all the wonderful things like being here with you, being at this conference, going to speak, all the people I meet here. I wouldn't be able to have it. Really, I wouldn't exist without social media.
I'm sure you've made your family super proud.
Yeah, my mom likes me. She's happy. She likes my posts.
I'm the opposite. Both of my parents went to law school and I didn't even go to college. So
you are crushing it. You are like, you watch Ted Lasso.
I haven't in a really long time.
Okay. You are the Roy Kent. You are like here, there, and everywhere.
Oh, I don't know what that is. But I am. I do feel sometimes like I'm everywhere.
You're a hustler.
And nowhere at the same time. Because it's hard to be present sometimes. That's like my struggle is like when I'm at conferences, I feel such a like adrenaline rush and like I'm thinking of like the next thing, right? Like if I'm at a lunch meeting, I'm like, oh, I have to go record this podcast. Or now that I'm recording with you, I'm like thinking like I got like as we're doing this, like thoughts will come into my brain like, what am I wearing tonight? Like I got to get ready. Like I have this dinner, I have this event that we're hosting, like all these things. So for me, it's like, it's hard. And what I'm working on is can I slow down? Like I get that I have so much shit to do here, but like I need to like mentally, not even physically, but can I mentally slow down?
See, we're on vibe here. Like, and for me, the answer is no.
You don't think I can slow down?
I can't slow down. I don't think you can slow down. Like I like.
But I would like to feel like more peaceful about it. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. Like, I don't mean physically slow down, meaning I can still do all the lunches that I need to do and all the meetings and all the events and all the dinners and all the podcasts and everything. But can I at least come to it from a place where I don't feel rushed, where I don't feel anxious? Does that make sense?
It does make sense. Like I live in this space. Like I live in like the future space, essentially. Like that's sort of my job at the firm, essentially, right? To live in the future, and you know, it's a hard thing. Like it's a hard thing. I don't know. I don't have an answer for you, Maria, but I can just tell you, like I relate to it.
Yeah, I think a lot of people do.
But I also feel like I'm gonna say something controversial. Like I do feel like there's some like present shaming that goes on.
What do you mean?
Like you got to be in the present.
But nobody's in the present. That's bullshit.
Yeah, exactly.
But I'm not even talking about that. I just want to feel less rushed and stressed and like go, go, go. It's like an adrenaline that keeps me going through the conferences. And then after I like crash because I'm so drained, right? Because I accomplished so many things. So if I'm going to go do all the things, can I at least do them from a place of like calmness versus like rushed? Maybe everybody that is super busy like feels this way, or that is like jumping from one thing to another. And I always feel like I could be doing more. I have been doing yoga nidra at conferences. It's like I can't stick to it in my like regular life, but for some reason I stick to it at conferences because it like calms me back down and then like gives me energy.
Look, this is your business, this is your job. Being here is so important. Like, and I guess for me, like I actually like I've cut back going to conferences. Like,
I would love to do that, but I wouldn't at the same time. It's weird. It's a love-hate for me.
These conferences are an immense amount of work.
But they're so much fun too.
It's fun.
So it's like a weird, it's just like, again, it's like a love-hate for me. Like I'm like super excited when a conference is coming, but I'm also like stressed about it because it's just like go, 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 you know? Let's talk about your firm. When did you start it?
I went out on my own in 2012. And I was basically like, well, I want to build an awesome law firm, right? And I did the thing, like I created a partnership with my friend, and like within 6 months we weren't talking. Within a year, we were partners. We're friends now. Hi, Megan. Hi, Kristen. We're friends now.
Where are you located?
I'm in Glastonbury, Connecticut. We're right outside of Hartford. Megan sends me an email one morning. It was a great gift. She's like, "Look, we need to end this." I'm like, "Yes, we do." And I opened up my own office. I was a solo. And so I was doing, some personal injury, but I also did like a whole bunch of other things just to pay the bills. Like I didn't have marketing budget or anything like that. In 2016, we launched Connecticut Trial Firm, my partner Andrew and I, but that was more of like an expense sharing arrangement. And in 2019, we really merged firms and started really creating what actually is my firm right now.
What's your firm called?
Connecticut Trial Firm.
Okay. Oh, that is the name.
That's the name. I started, it was just Andrew, me, and then I had a paralegal who has been with me for 20 years, almost all my legal career, Ruth, who was working part-time. My wife, Allison, helps co-found the firm. And what she does is she joins us because Andrew and I are smart enough to know like we're not going to do well at doing the books and the things like that. We end up hiring a paralegal, but we also know like, hey, we're going to overburden her because we have all these intakes and things like that. So we had an intake specialist. And so really in January of 2019, like there's 5 of us. Okay. And now there's 37 of us.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Does that feel good?
Feels awesome.
Yeah. So how did you get there?
One day at a time, like constant hustle, a lot of worry.
Do you think people are too impatient now?
I don't know.
I think so. I think the next generation, my kids' generation, and maybe like the young adults now, I'm curious to see how they start businesses because I think social media, YouTube, Netflix has changed the way that human brains are. Like obviously I don't know enough about it, I'm speculating, but I do think that, attention spans are going down.
Sure, the dopamine hits.
Yeah, it's all about dopamine.
And also too, like I think in like the entrepreneur space, like there's all this bullshit. There's all like a huge amount of bullshit about being successful or people who haven't really accomplished something, like flashing image of success. And for people who really do though, like I was talking with Jen on the way down here, like there are so many rough days that you're going to have.
I think the problem is that people don't share those days. Like you only see the finished product, but like you're not seeing everything else that led up to it. Okay, so 37 employees. You said one day at a time, but how did you start getting those cases in? You guys are a trial firm, right?
So we started off and we would spend like $400 a month on Avo, but we would get like 6 cases. So if you're out there and you're thinking about starting a PI firm, like $400 for 6 cases, like...
Yeah, the days of Avo are long, long, long.
But what we did is we prioritized doing really good work for clients, prioritized making our clients happy. And we also prioritized like we're like, okay, we don't have a bunch of $100,000 cases, right, that are on the windshield, but what if we can work a $10,000 case into a $100,000 case? So then like our caseload is now like 3x the value. We have like 10 times the value or whatever. So we started really getting good at trying to try cases and work our cases and fund into them with the idea that, well, we don't have a volume, but if we can sort of juice these cases and make them into more, like that is sort of what became at the core of the firm, at the core of growth. And then people started referring other people. We just started getting good reviews. For those out there, like there's a huge value in sort of vision and manifestation. And like we wrote down that, and we did like a EOS worksheet there, and we wrote down that we had probably no cases worth 100,000, that we want to have a case in 10 years. We want to have a $10 million jury verdict. So we just put that out into the universe. Like, we wrote it down. We want to be the best trial firm in Connecticut, which was completely audacious, right? Well, we ended up 10xing that in 5 years. And so sort of opening yourself up to that possibility, like writing it down, putting it out there, I think it's like you attract it. You can attract it in a way.
I agree and I disagree, because I think that the book, The Secret, did a disservice to the idea of manifesting. And you'll agree with this, but it's not just go and like write it down and manifest it. It's like you still have to have the intent to actually achieve it, regardless of what it's going to take. So it's not like you wrote it down and then like forgot about it. It's like you work towards it every single fucking day.
7 days a week. 60, 70-hour weeks, year after year, Monday through Monday, no vacations, working all the time.
So did you have a recent big verdict?
We had a $100 million jury verdict, which is a record verdict in Connecticut. Connecticut's a pretty conservative state in that way. Like, the highest prior verdict was about $30 million. And we hit one of the biggest companies in North America, one of the biggest companies in the world, Philips North America, for a $100 million verdict.
Tell me about the case.
What happened is we have a client named Mikey Cruz. So I love Mikey Cruz. Mikey Cruz, big Miami Dolphins fan. We're here in Miami. Shout out to Mikey. And so what happens is Mikey Cruz works in a warehouse. You have to think of it like sort of like a Home Depot, but for electricians. Okay. And so Mikey works at the counter, and electricians come in and they say, "Hey, I need some light bulbs." Mikey goes back into the warehouse and gets the light bulbs and then brings them up to the counter. And so what happens is Philips North America makes this like TLED light bulbs, and they're very hot because they're energy efficient essentially, and they're able to be put in and not like retrofitted. I don't want to bore somebody, but it's a hot product in September of 2017. So what happens is it comes in from China, and it comes into a warehouse in Pennsylvania. And what they have to do is they have to wrap the light bulbs, 1,300 pounds of light bulbs, to a pallet. It's called unitizing. Okay. So that way the light bulbs can't slide off the pallet. They don't do this. All right. And they ship the light bulbs out to Rexel, the warehouse, and they get put up on a rack about 20 feet high. An employee on an adjacent aisle, a temporary employee on an adjacent aisle, sort of does like this. He lifts up a pallet on the other side. It catches the light bulbs. The light bulbs fall off, paralyzing Mikey Cruz. And so the whole case was essentially that they had to wrap the light bulbs. They didn't wrap the light bulbs. And as a result, Mikey was paralyzed. Our expert was like, it would have cost them $5 and 5 minutes, and they couldn't be bothered.
They wouldn't settle?
No, they only ever offered us $1.5 million.
That's crazy.
Insane. It made it life really easy because we had no choice.
And did you ask the jury? I don't know if you're allowed to in Connecticut.
Yeah, we did. We asked the jury, and we worked through a closing where it was like, I came here and I thought about, asking for 150 million, but that was too much. And we worked down. We're like, well, but 100 million. If you feel that that's the right number, I'm not going to ask for it, but I'd accept that.
And did you focus group it or big data or anything?
We did like 10 focus groups on this. So we had really good ideas. We actually asked the jury for about $60 million, and they gave 100.
Well, you also anchored them.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, correct. There was a whole psychological component to the ask. But yes.
So what's it been like going from 5 employees at the firm to 37?
I think there's a misconception out there in some ways that maybe running a small law firm is easier than running a big law firm.
Really?
Yeah, because
how so?
Because I have both money and people who are generally better at whatever their job is to put between me and problems or me and opportunities.
Okay, so you find this easier than, say, when you were at 10 employees?
Oh gosh, yeah.
What kind of processes do you have in place, though?
Lots. All of them.
But that's why.
We started our firm and we created a private Wikipedia thing. Okay. So we've got over 1,000 pages documented on Wikipedia. Our team, and our private Wikipedia, our team uses it like 1,200 times a month. So we've got all sorts of processes built out in our case management software. We've got Connecticut Trial Firm University, where we do training using Trainual. So we do all these things, and we are like highly systematized. And the real advantage of that is it allows us to hire for skill set and non-experience.
Have you ever used Guru?
No.
We just moved from Trainual to Guru because the way that are you particularly familiar with Trainual?
I am like moderately familiar.
The way that it looks to an employee, Guru versus Trainual, is 1,000 times better because they can see basically the outline of anything that's in a module. Whereas in Trainual, you have to like exit to see it. You have to go back versus having it right. I'm probably not doing it justice, but we used to love Trainual and we kept having that issue that it wasn't like easy to kind of jump around, for lack of a better term. So we moved. And we actually, my husband emailed the owner of Trainual and was like, hey, like, I love your product. Sent him a video and he was like, but look at this. And Trainual responded, I think, and they were like, thank you so much for the feedback. But then they never did anything about it. So we switched.
Interesting.
Yeah. And are you guys, everybody shows up to the office, or are you guys virtual, or is it a hybrid? What's that like?
Hybrid. We have a number of people who work in an office. They're there because we want to. Generally, what we do is we've also got people fully remote. We've got people in Minnesota and New York and Alabama. Like we're all over. We're all over the country.
What about overseas?
We have some people overseas. Yep. I've got an assistant in Mexico. We've got some people in Argentina, South Africa.
How did you find them?
We used Get Staffed Up and Brett Tremblay. At some point, you just hire agencies or people to do the things that they're good at.
Yeah.
You pay a premium, but like just here, you deal with that.
Yeah. Well, and it's cheaper than hiring here. So
yeah.
I think it still makes sense.
It makes complete sense because like a VA costs us probably about $25,000 a year all in. An employee here, you're paying benefits, you're paying taxes, all sorts of things, far more expensive, and you're not getting anybody for $25,000.
No. And I mean, I don't know. We have offices in Mexico, and we love our team down there.
My assistant's from Mexico. We've had another assistant from Mexico. We've had some really great team. We've actually flown people up from Mexico to come hang out with us. And, you have at least the people we've worked with are highly educated. They are skilled and like they're hungry.
I think it's so interesting how the whole world has kind of opened up to the way that people can work. So you take people in these countries that didn't have these opportunities, and now they have these opportunities to work for US companies. I think that's really neat. Do you do any offline advertising?
We are really primarily digital, okay? And we are starting to shift into, we've done some TV, but we're starting to expand what we're going to do on TV. Yes, we're going to get into billboards. It all feeds itself. Yeah. And so we're trying to tap those channels that we have not yet tapped to sort of grow.
I personally think it's cheaper to expand your market, like going to other markets digitally, than to go into TV billboards. The only thing is that if you do TV billboards, you saturate your, like it's great. Like you're hitting on every point. So I'm not saying not to do that. In fact, I tell my clients, like, please go get, especially billboards. I'm a big fan of billboards.
We are, almost exclusively digital at this point.
And people think it doesn't work.
Oh, it does work.
I
will keep thinking that.
Keep
thinking that. Not for your sake.
Please don't.
Not for Maria's sake. No, Maria's very nice. Think that.
Yeah, please think that. But I think it only works for like X amount of firms in a market, right? Like 5 to maybe 7 firms in any given market are generating 90% of the cases from digital.
And that's true of anything in life. Like, right? Anything. Like a handful of podcasters generate like all the podcast listens or whatever.
I'm not one of them. So
I am not. I'm not either. But look, I look at digital as real estate. Like, and it is like, if you're not buying in now, like, boy, it's going to get more expensive. Like, it's beachfront. There's still in 2024, there's still opportunities out there.
I just think it's such a shady industry. So people have been burned so many times. People are so hesitant. They think it's snake oil. It's a tough space to be in.
I could imagine on your side of things, like it is really tough. My point is there are good people. Do your homework, figure out who works, and also like, at least for me, the people we've worked with, it's like they don't promise you the sun, the moon, and the sky. Not like 20, sign up with us and get 20 cases or whatnot. It is a comprehensive, long-term strategy, and they're honest.
Yeah, I always tell people like during, the interviewing process or sales process, it'd be really easy for me to tell you what you want to hear. Like, I'm just not going to do it because I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, if I don't know the answer, I'm not going to answer it. Like, somebody will answer it and they'll take your money for 12 months, but it's not going to be me. I'm not going to set the wrong expectations.
Yeah. There are honest players in the space. Find them.
Yeah, there's very few of us, but there are. There definitely are. And we're not the only ones, but it's few.
Yeah. So, if you're out there, and I will tell you also, none of the honest people are the cheapest.
No, that's the other thing.
So, you've got to spend into this. Like, it is a lot of work. And I mean, for me, it's like hiring an agency is just an absolute no-brainer because links, technical stuff on a website, content, like it's all necessary.
It's not cheap, not because agencies have decided, oh, we're going to charge this much. It's because we need the budget for the links. We need the budget for the content.
It's labor intensive.
That's what people don't get. It's like, what do you think happens with that money? Or should? Because I could see how some people won't reinvest in the project. But without the budget, it's actually, we can't do the job.
Yeah. And it's sort of like, it's like one of these things too. And if you're not playing all in or most in with it, right? It's like going to the gym one time a week. All you're going to get is sore.
I love that one because it's so true. When I take like 3 weeks off and then I go back, I'm like, oh my God, why am I sore? I'm never sore.
Yeah.
They say it's actually not a good thing to be sore. Did you know that?
I didn't know that, but I feel it when I walk upstairs. So
yeah, they say you're not, like, if you're continuously getting sore, like that's not good. Like, it should happen at first.
Yeah.
Because you're not used to it, but then you shouldn't. Alrighty. Well, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you, Maria.
This was fun. I appreciate it. Thank you so much to Ryan for everything he shared with us today. If you found this story valuable, please share it with someone you want to see succeed. Subscribe so you never miss an episode, and leave a 5-star review. It goes a long way to help others discover the show.